Hi, my name is Michael and welcome to Atlas IED training. This video covers wall controllers, how to program them quickly and easily. Let's get started.
Let's talk about programming controllers. In this design, I have a BBWP S4K1. The reason I have this particular controller in this design is to switch background music sources for the room. And in this design, we have a background music server with two choices of background music. And it's really quite easy to program these wall controllers. Let me just give you an overview of what you can do with them. Let's open this up. This wall controller is actually a combination of two wall controllers. It's a K1, which is the knob, and an S4, which is 4 buttons. The buttons work independently of the dial. The dial does not work in conjunction with the buttons. This one is like two separate wall controllers in one. So let's talk about what we can do with the buttons. Anything in the design that is a push button or a select button can be brought into this wall controller and controlled. Anything that has a variable control, like a gain control or a parameter on an equalizer, you can bring into the dial on this wall controller. So they're very, very versatile. They're very, very easy to program. Let's take a look at different ways you can program these. Let's close the component library here. Let's open up the properties because we're going to be using that. Let's open up the DSP. So here's our DSP design, and we have the tiling button here. If we hit the tile button, it gives us 2 working panes, which makes it nice. Let me show you how to program, for instance, this dial right here. Let's open up a mixer, and we want to bring a level control for input A in there. And the way to do that is either to draw a lasso around it with your mouse, like that, and left click and drag it on, and you're programmed. That's it. It's as easy as that. Then you can go over to the component properties and say, well, I want to give that thing a max value of -10, for instance, and every time that dial clicks 1 click, it's going to be in 1.5 dB increments. So basically, you've got some room to change how that dial works here. You can also stack the dial, meaning if we want 2 level controls to work in conjunction with each other, we can go ahead and highlight that. Remember, there's 2 ways to highlight it. You can hold the control button down and click it, or you can lasso it. Either way, drag it in. Now we've stacked it. It turns red. We've stacked it, and up comes a list over here of the linked control parameters. So now we've got 2 level controls that's controlled from 1 level control. And you can stack this as crazy as you want, really. And if you want to unstack it, you right-click on it. You can either clear all the data, or you can go to linked control, see what's on there, and remove what you don't want to be on there. Okay, yes, I've removed it. I'll click back on it, and it's just the data for the one mixer coming up. Same thing works with the buttons. I can take this mute button, for instance. I can drag it on there. Now that mute button is programmed, but hey, I want to bring that mute button in too. And I want to bring that mute button in too. This is the fastest programming for any wall controllers out on the market. It's just really slick. And there's our list of all the mute buttons that are going to be controlled from that button. If I right click on this, I can look, and there's all the different channels. I can delete one if I want. If you want to run a preset on here, if you want to pull a preset into this, you can open up your preset buttons over here. You can say, oh, I want to put a global preset on there. So I did the hold down the control button, left click, highlight it, drag it on the button. Now that button is a preset. So I've got some mute buttons here. I've got a preset here. Let's take a look. Let's close that up. Let's close that up. Let's bring the matrix. Let's drag some connect buttons on. So I'm going to say this connect button is going to go here. So that's a matrix connect button. Same thing here, matrix connect button. And now there's buttons to turn on and off the room combine for that salon. So that pretty much is the way that you're going to program these controllers. It's really easy. Any buttons you can drag on. There's only one other thing that you can do with these, and that's actually was the intent for this design, was this background music controller that I have here. Background music controller is a drop-down menu. In this case, I have 3 selections. I have 3 selections because I used 3 inputs. I used a 3-input selector. Input 1 is off, input 2 is background music, input 3 is background music number 2. And it's a drop-down box. So let's program this button section to make that drop-down menu work. First thing I need to do is I need to clear the data on these buttons, otherwise it won't work. Because you can't drag items on that are not like. If you're going to put a mute button in an area, it has to be mute buttons that stays on that button. If you're going to put connect buttons have to go on that particular button. You could mix and match the buttons, you just can't mix and match what you put on a particular button. So these should be all clear now, and they are. So what you're going to want to do for a drop-down type menu is you're going to do the control left mouse click. It's highlighted, and I'm going to drag that there, and I'm going to just do it 3 times because we're using 3 inputs. And you might be wondering why I'm not selecting between the different background musics. It's because these work off of control numbers. So if I go back to button number 1, which is the off position, it's the first position on our input selector. And in programming these, it's a number system that starts at 0 and goes up through. So the first position is 0, the second position for input number 2 is going to be 1, and I'll show you how that works. So I've highlighted this button. I'm going to go over to the component range and the control value. I'm going to give it a controller number of 0. I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see it comes up and says input 1. I'm going to go to button number 2, and I'm going to give it a control value of 1, because that's the next in the row there. Enter. It says input 2. I'll go ahead with this control button here, and I'll give this a number 2, and that's input 3. This has pretty much shown you everything you can do and how quick and how easy it is to work with the Blue Bridge platform for these wall controllers. You should be able to get through programming wall controllers in a snap. It's so easy. Shut the child windows down. We're fully programmed on this controller. To get a controller in your design, it's as easy as finding what controller you want from the list over here. We can bring in a touch screen if we want. Say we want to put a touch screen over here. There's our touch screen. I can increase the size just to make it look more the shape of the touch screen. I like changing the text to white just because it matches everything. I guess I should probably save my work at this point, so I'm going to hit save. Remember, as you work, it's a good idea to save your project, and in the background it'll be making up to 5 saved copies. So if anything gets corrupted or you lose one, you always have something to fall back on.
Hey, thanks for watching this tutorial. For more videos, go to atlasIED.com. Thanks again.